Yes, thank you very much. I welcome you at KC Stadium. Thank you very much for coming for this fabulous occasion at a short notice. I'm sorry for the short notice because, as you know, these days are not easy to get such a high caliber here to Hull City, so it was hard work. When I bought the Hull City, was not only to save the club from going under, but it was also had in mind to make Hull City Football Club is a football club for Hull and East Riding, to be for the people here, for my community, football club to be proud of. And therefore, I continued when we continued my search. The fact that, as you know, it cost me so far £51 million did not change my policy of still make the club one of the best in the country in English football. And it did not deter me from looking at getting the best available. And so was not only to save the club, was to have a club that go forward and be for everybody here to be proud of. Hull and East Riding is my home for over 40 years, and I thought this is for my community to enjoy the success of it. That's why it was important to me, even after all the money I spent so far, it was important to me to continue to ensure that this club will have the best future. And to do that wasn't an easy job, because not only that I was looking for a manager with experience of promoting clubs to Premier League. No, I wanted more than that. But someone with this experience, and with the experience and the record of keeping the club in the Premier League. And that was not easy. And we were lucky to have Steve Bruce here, and after hard work, and he's accepted to come here. And the search for such a caliber is very difficult. We were lucky, and it took us time. I apologize for the fans who have been waiting for a few weeks to know what we're going to do, but I hope the fans will realize that it was time worth waiting for. It's not easy, as I said, to get someone like Steve Bruce, and I tell you, it's very expensive. Maybe so. But Steve is worth all the money. So that's. So it is important that I continue to do my best for the club and the Hull City, the city and the East Riding. The process has taken time, as I said, and is now finalized. Steve kindly came back. He's on holiday in Portugal with his family and kindly agreed to come to be with us today. He's a man with 2 promotions into the Premier League, and with a record of keeping the clubs in the Premier League. I take great pleasure to introduce to you and to my community, Steve Bruce.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We'll now take some questions. Simon, would you like to start as a television man?
Certainly will. Welcome back to Yorkshire. You've been managed Yorkshire teams before. I've just minded that when you were at Sheffield United and Huddersfield Town, Hull City sort of rocked along the bottom of the 4th division, or whatever it was called in those days. And for the past 5 years, they've been Yorkshire's Premier side. Have you been keeping an eye on their progress over these past few years?
Well, obviously we remember the days in the Premier League, don't you? And of course, when you look around the stadium to the old Guthrie Park or what it was, and you see the stadium today, the club has progressed enormously over the last 10, 12 years. And after speaking with the chairman and his son Ehab, the one thing they've wanted is to bring back the Premier League days if we possibly can. And that's going to be the aim. That's the reason why I'm sitting here, for the challenge of it. You know, I've been out of work for a while, but I wanted to come back with something with a challenge. And after a few weeks of negotiation and talks, then I'm delighted to be here and relish the challenge of trying to get the club back where we all want it to be.
Have you got a target on when Hull City will return to the Premier League?
Well, I've signed a 3-year deal, and I hope that I can get them in that time. I hope we can. We've got some very, very good young players here. I've been very, very impressed with the calibre of the young players we've got. Obviously, we're going to try and add to the squad, which of course we will do. And as I said, take the team forward. And it's vitally important that we keep a hold of them young players, what we've got. And that's my job with the chairman, to make sure we do improve.
Quite a lot of the young players that you mentioned belonged to a side called Manchester United once upon a time.
Yes.
How close is your link still with your old club there?
Well, I mean, it's, of course, when I speak to any press, I get reminded of Manchester United, of course. It was a long time ago, but certainly I've still got a fantastic relationship with the manager. And of course, if there's a player to be had, and make no mistake, I've got the ability to pick up the phone. And I think there's 5 or 6 here from Manchester, isn't there? So we look forward to many more.
Apart from, as Dr. Lamb says, matching your wages and your demands on that side of things, what else did he do to sell you this football club?
Well, I think the big thing, what we've been talking about really, was his ambition to make the club and get back the club into the Premier League. That's all he spoke about really for the last 2 weeks. Certainly his son has as well. It's their ambition to go and do that. And we know it's not easy. There's a lot of clubs with exactly the same philosophy and want to do the same thing. But the reason I'm here is I do believe that we've got the ability to do that. Certainly when you see the stadium, when you see the fan base, the infrastructure is there, so we've got to try and improve that if we can and take on the project of trying to get the club where it all wants to be.
Now, looking at you sitting there, and your tan reminds us of a man that used to sit in that seat called Phil Brown, fellow Geordie.
Yes.
You've been in touch?
Funny enough, I spoke to Phil a few days ago, but nothing to terms of football-wise. Certainly the tan doesn't last like Phil's, let me assure you. And I'm not as good a singer as Phil either. But no, he brought some good times here, didn't he? And let's not forget that. And that's my aim, is to try and repeat that. And once we've got there, try and establish the club if we possibly can as a Premier League club. That's the focus. That's the hard part. And that's what we're trying to achieve.
What do you bring? What do you bring? What are your qualities? What did you
well,
sell?
I'm expensive, as the
chairman
just said.
But what did you sell to Dr. Lamb?
I think I've worked in the Premier League. I think I'm one of only 2 or 3 British managers who worked in the Premier League for something like 10 years. Before that, I worked in the Championship, and some of my most enjoyable days were in the Championship. You know, it's a good league when you're at the top end of it and trying to get promotion. So I hope I can bring that experience. It's been a long time since I managed in the Championship, but I did relish that time. I hope that we can be successful again. There's no reason why we can't. As I said, you know, with a few additions to the squad, which will be inevitable, and with the squad we've got, and we're hoping there's some good times ahead.
Do you like the squad you've got?
I do like the squad. That's one of the challenges too. They're young, and we've got some good young players, and I hope with my experience we can help them young players become better players and educate them better and make them better individuals, as not just as players but as people too. And as I said, try and improve them with a little bit of experience and a little bit of know-how, and hopefully we can get the right result.
Right. I don't want to hog the press conference, obviously lots of other people have questions, but I do have one for Dr. Lamb. Tell me, it seemed very early on that Steve Bruce was your first choice. What did you see in Steve Bruce? Why did you want him first and foremost?
Steve Bruce was my first choice from day one because he ticks all the boxes. He is a very nice character as a person, and in actual fact, coming from my office, Steve here, traffic coming all the way, and people start to say hello to him and welcome him. So I had many welcomes on our way today. So I walked into the stadium and shaking hands with everybody, went to the receptionist to shake hands. A very, very nice. person really, and I'm sure we'll settle down very quickly. And as I said, it was very hard because having had Steve Bruce in my mind from the first week, and I must mention here how grateful I am to the great help I had from Peter Chapman, sitting there, and most of you will know that his father was the chairman of Hull City Football Club a few years ago. And Ehab, my son, had worked very hard, many hours, both Peter Chapman and my son Ehab had to be on business trip. He delayed the trip to go today, thinking that we'll have finalized the deal before, and he couldn't delay this anymore. So grateful to my family who put up with this last few weeks. I was working day and night, all of us working day and night, working during the bank holiday. Our lawyers, Ed here in the middle, was working the bank holiday all the time, and I have my wife Fatima here, and Iman, my daughter, and Steve, my son-in-law. But Peter Chapman has really worked hard with Ehab and Steve to make it possible.
Steve, Chris Docks from ITV, welcome to Hull. Was it a difficult decision to make to come to the city?
Well, of course, once the offer's made to you, then of course you have to weigh up your options and have a look and see. But as soon as I've come over here and I've met everybody concerned, what strikes me straight away is that we want success, and that's driven me on really, is the challenge of it. You know, I mean, I could have quite easily stayed out of the game quite easily, but I wanted to get back into management and get back to work again. That's what I do. I'm in football, and when I'm part of it, I want to succeed, and I want to try and take the club to where it wants to be. I hope we can do that. I hope we can achieve that. In the past, I've usually left the team and the club in better shape than it's been in before I get there. So I hope I can do the same here and repay the faith of the chairman and his son and Peter Chapman have showed me.
You've been in the Premier League the majority of your managerial career. Is the challenge of getting the club into the Premier League?
Yes, I mean, we all want to be in the Premier League, and I want to be a Premier League manager again. I wouldn't have come here if I didn't think that was possible. So that's got to be the aim. That's got to be where the club wants to come from, and that's all the real conversations I had from the very first time we met on the M1 2.5 weeks ago. Was is your way forward that you want to get in the Premier League? The answer was yes. That's why I'm sitting here and looking forward to that challenge immensely.
And have you been given assurances about how much you'll have to
spend? Yeah, of course. We've talked about budgets, but I'm not going to tell you that's for certain. But there's talk and there's things in place. The first thing when I spoke to Ehab was we need 4 or 5 players to add to what we've got. So we'll go to work on that tomorrow, and hopefully that Hull City can have a future. The fans are excited of what's going to happen, because I hope that we can make an exciting time for them all, and that can really get behind the team and look forward to trying to mount that challenge.
Was it important to get this sorted quickly so you could start?
Well, it was one where I thank my patience, really. I know, of course, the way media is today, you can't keep anything secret anymore, but we have now been talking for the best part of 2.5 to 3 weeks, and it's been positive, of course, when there's lawyers involved, and then it becomes a bit more. But the most important thing for me was the challenge of taking the club forward, and the way forward, how it was going to progress. That's the most important thing for me.
Dr. Alan, what was it about Steve that attracted you to him?
Sorry?
What was it about Steve that made him your number one choice?
As I said, because he ticks all the boxes. I want someone with not only with the experience of promoting clubs to Premier League. I wanted, in addition to that, someone with the experience of keeping the clubs in Premier League. And very modest man, very experienced man. And what else do you want? Obviously, as Steve says, he will need to make a few improvements to a very good squad we have here, and he will have the promised money. We have the promise of money was made in December. This is fact. Promised money, but unfortunately we did not manage to get the players we wanted in January, and now it's Steve will need time, obviously, to see the squad and decide what he wants.
More questions from the television people? Matt Dean, Radio on the side.
Nice to meet you, Steve.
You.
What's your top priority
You've
now
been
you're here?
pestering me.
I do apologise. And your wife as well.
Yeah, okay.
What's your top priority now you're here?
Well, the top priority is to analyse the squad, and when we get to work on the 2nd of July, you know, everybody starts with a clean bill of health, if you like. So I'm coming into it with, you know, to assess everything. The obvious one is the goalkeeper. We need a goalkeeper. That's, you don't have to be Einstein to work that out. But we'll look at the squad. We've got a large time together in pre-season, and we'll look and analyse the squad. And as I said, you know, with the conversations we've had with the chairman and his son, you know, we will try and make some adjustments to the squad. Of course, that would be only natural, and hopefully improve it to get where we want to get to.
At what stage are you at with trying to bring players in? I know it's early.
None yet.
You'll have mulled
None
over
yet.
it, no?
None yet. I've made a couple of calls on my way today, really, because it's, you know, we officially said yes, I think, last Sunday. Everything was taped and everything was tickety-boo from then on. So I haven't really analysed anything like that. But tomorrow or today, I go to work, and looking forward to that challenge of going to work again.
What will the makeup of your backroom staff be?
Well, it's something I'll analyse again. We'll have a look, and of course there'll be people coming to join me into the club with fresh ideas, and that's what I'm going to assess over the next few weeks and have everything in place hopefully by the 2nd of July, or certainly early July anyway, for when we get back to work.
In addition to Nick leaving the club, has anybody else left the club? Dr. Adam?
No.
No. So the backroom staff at the moment remains intact, and it's down to Steve to decide. Is that the case?
Yes.
It was a frustrating wait for the fans. What was it really like for you the last few weeks?
Was not easy time because you see the fans they quite rightly expect it. They expect the fans to be worried about the club, what will happen, and most of the time was because of the law of the land, not because of me. There is very little to say. We're controlled by law, and we had the hiccup with the, you know, first few weeks, and we couldn't discuss appointment of new manager unless the appeal and reappeal is finalized. So that took about over 2 weeks, and then we started seriously talking.
And Steve, can you just give us your emotions today? What does it feel like? Haven't you been out of the game since
Well,
last November? What's your emotion today, Steve?
It's the first time I've been out for a long, long, long time, and probably I needed it. I probably needed a break, and it refreshes you certainly, but it makes you even more hungry to come back and remind people that you're decent at what you do. Certainly the aim is to get started again. I can't wait to get back to work. I think my wife's delighted that I'm out of her feet. I've done enough washing up and clearing up after a while, so I'm delighted to be back.
Okay. Can I just ask you about a couple of players?
Yes.
Michael Turner's been here before.
We'll have him back tomorrow if that's possible.
Wouldn't you try to get him back?
I don't think that would be possible. And certainly Fraser Campbell's another one you're going to ask me about too. I know they were great players for Hull, and my aim is to find some more of them if we can. Certainly they were terrific players for me, Michael Turner and Fraser. Unfortunately, the both of them got injured, and that didn't help my situation at Sunderland. Fraser did his cruciate, and so did Michael Turner. He hit a post, if you remember. So, but they're both fine and dandy now, and we'll see.
Craig Gordon, he's a free agent. Is there
Craig
a possibility there?
Craig Gordon's a possibility, but it would be wrong of me to pick out individuals just now. Let me assess what we've got. Let me get me backroom staff, and I know the clamour of everybody is for new faces, of course. And I'll just tell the Hull City fans there will be, but be patient, take the time, and make sure we get the right ones.
Thanks for your time.
No problem.
time happen.
Yeah, Steve, just in terms of the squad, have you worked with any of them before, or do you know anyone particularly closely?
Well, I'm aware of the young lads who obviously played at Manchester. We're all aware of the big clubs and what they've got, but I can't really recall or remember Paul McShane. I subbed to you, didn't I? So I remember him for a brief period at Sunderland. I don't think I have worked with any of them individually, but the one thing I have noticed is they're young and they're energetic, and certainly if we can educate them and, as I said, try and improve them as players. My aim is always, with a young player, is to try and improve him and make sure that he has a career in the game which he's proud of.
Yeah.
We've got a nucleus of a very good young squad here. As I said, a couple of additions. Hopefully we'll get where we want to be.
And is that quite a bonus? You kind of come with a
Well, I
fresh
enjoy
eyes?
that. I enjoy that working with the young. I think if you ask any experienced manager, the one thing a young player is refreshing, because hopefully they want to learn, they want to get better, they want to improve themselves. They're young and hungry and desperate to succeed. And I think any manager in his soul will probably tell you the same thing.
I suppose the fact you don't know anyone, you come with fresh eyes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Everybody, every whole player knows whatever's happened in the past. I'm not really bothered about, interested in. They've now got a clean slate. It's up to them when they're holidays and they get notice that are coming in. They come back in some sort of shape, because believe me, they'll have to be. And they can come to work and we'll assess them. And as I said, let everybody start from afresh and start the challenge ahead.